How do you study Korean?
Oh, not very well.
안녕 친구. Hello Korean learners. My name is Nate, who is a Korean teacher at this Edible Korean Teacher channel. I have met so many Korean learners and realized everyone has their own method to study Korean. And Korean learners don't have many opportunities to meet other Korean learners. So I think it would be helpful if I share how other Korean learners study Korean, so you can try their method and find the most suitable method for you to improve your Korean faster. So now, let's go! Hi everyone, today we have a special guest from Australia. Hi Jodie, how are you?
I'm good, thanks, Nate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Can you please introduce yourself?
Okay. 저는 Jodie입니다. 저는 호주 사람입니다. Hello, I'm Jodie and I'm from Australia.
Why did you start learning Korean? Because I know there are lots of languages. Why did you choose Korean?
I chose Korean. I actually was going to start Japanese. Wow.
Mm.
But the Korean alphabet looked easier to learn. So, so I started with that, and it was easy-ish to learn. But as you know, with the language, there's a whole lot of other things that make it a little bit harder. But I'm really loving it, so I'm glad I chose Korean.
Okay, and if you didn't learn Japanese, how do you know Korean looks a bit easier than Japanese?
So I have a Japanese family that I'm really, really close with,
Mm.
and their daughter has lived here with me. So we tampered with a little bit of Japanese, and I didn't like it. It looked hard. It looked really hard. So I thought, no, that one's not for me. It's too much to learn. So that's why I went with Korean, and I had also visited both countries around about the same time, and I just loved Korea when I visited there. So that was part of it as well.
How do you study Korean?
Oh, not very well. So I try to send my fantastic Edible Korean teacher some recordings and some sentences through the week that revise the work that we did in my lesson. So I send that, and I also record it. And that just helps me solidify what we did in our class, in our lesson. And it also means for me, if I'm making a mistake, it's picked up straight away, and I can look at the mistake and see why I've made it. And the other thing I try to do is just with my vocab, which is really hard as you advance more and you get more words, just post-its. So I post-it everything, fridge, coffee, sugar, it's all got post-it notes on it. And you probably get a bit complacent with them. But what it does, it just helps me also, apart from the word, it helps me with the spelling, the Korean spelling of the word. They're my main things, just the revision of our class and recording and sending to you, and also just the post-its and going through the vocab with that.
I think it's a really good way to study Korean, like recording your own voice. What do you think is the difference between just reading out loud and actually recording?
Before you continue, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons down below.
You hear yourself speaking another language to start with, which is a little weird, but for me, and sending it to you, it just means I'm getting the sounds right. Because as with English, there are words that sound similar but have a different meaning. So I want to make sure that my sounds are right and correct. And my English ear can't always pick that up because, as I said, our tongues are different. So, I need your Korean ear to pick that up for me. I can't do that myself. So I think it's really important to record it and send it off to you for you to look at, and also for me to hear. Sometimes I hear it and I know I've got it wrong, so I redo it. Other times I have no clue I have it wrong. So that's why it's important, I think, to do that.
I think that's a really good point. So, the people who watch this video can try. I think it's a really good method to, instead, reading out loud is really good, but recording is another level. So recording your voice, and if you have a teacher, send it to the teacher for checking, and just listen to your voice again and say like, oh, my teacher says that different, so I can fix my pronunciation here,
Yeah. And when you record, you tend to, for me, I usually start off with the same thing, and you can say your song saying, so that's in my head all the time. I can spell it. I know how to say it. If I see it, I know what it is because I say it every time I send you something. So there's those little recurrences that happen by recording as well, and typing the sentences in, that, the things that you say every time you send something. So that's like a byproduct, a by-learning thing of sending it and recording it.
So I hope you enjoyed watching my story and what inspired me to start learning Korean language. Join Song Sang Nim Nate and the Edible Korean family by hitting like and subscribe down below, and leave a comment. Nate would love to hear from you. Annyeong 친구.
And it doesn't really matter how old you are. If you can do it when you're younger, well, that's fantastic. Do it.